Rain hammered down, turning the streets into a blurry mess. Henry, a skinny taxi driver with tired eyes, gripped the wheel tight. It was super late, past 3 a.m., and there weren't any people around, just the creepy silence. Then, a lady in a ripped white dress popped out of the darkness. She waved him down with a hand that looked almost see-through in the dim light. Henry felt a weird kind of curiosity, like he finally had something interesting happen after a long, boring night. He pulled over, even though the address she gave him sent chills down his spine, an abandoned hospital on the edge of town, a place everyone said was haunted. He kinda didn't want to go, but the lady's eyes were blank and stared right through him. "Please," she croaked, her voice like dry leaves rustling. "Take me home." The whole ride was like driving into a nightmare. The lady never talked, but a sad, moaning sound filled the car. The air got thick and heavy, like something bad was right there with them. As they got closer to the hospital, the buildings looked like giant skeletons against the stormy sky. The lady pointed at a broken archway. "Here," she whispered, barely a sound. Henry stopped, his throat tightening. The archway led to the overgrown grounds of the hospital, a place nobody in their right mind would go. Panic hit Henry like a wave. He slammed on the brakes. "This isn't the way," he yelled, but the lady was gone. He looked back at the empty seat, and all that was there was a single white rose wilting on the cracked leather. A scream ripped through the night, a sound so awful it couldn't be human. Henry jumped out, his heart racing. He stumbled towards the archway, a horrible mix of scared and curious. The hospital grounds were a mess of broken dreams. Twisted trees clawed at the sky, their branches like bony fingers reaching for the moon. The scream echoed again, closer this time, mixed with a chilling laugh. Terror pushed him forward. He rounded a corner and froze. The lady in white stood in a circle of flickering candles with weird symbols on them. But she wasn't alone. Creepy-looking people with hollow eyes and scary smiles came out of the shadows. They chanted in a language that made Henry's brain hurt. The lady turned, her face splitting open in a monstrous grin, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Welcome home," she rasped, her voice dripping with evil joy. "We've been waiting for you," Henry screamed, a loud, scared sound. But his voice was lost in the crazy chanting of the creepy people. They lunged at him, their bony fingers reaching out. In the last moment before they grabbed him, a single white rose, with an unnatural red stain, appeared in his trembling hand. The next morning, they found Henry's taxi abandoned on the edge of town. The driver, gone, only a single red rose, a scary reminder of the night's horror, remained on the back seat. Rain slicked the streets, turning the neon glow of the city into a blurry mess. Michael, a taxi driver whose face held the weariness of 1,000 late nights, was used to seeing oddballs after midnight. But tonight, a woman materialized from the swirling fog like a bad dream. Black fabric draped her head, hiding her face in shadow. When she spoke, her voice was like dead leaves rustling, Elmwood Cemetery. The name sent shivers down Michael's spine. Elmwood was a sprawling graveyard, whispered to be a gateway to the other side. He should have said no, but the woman offered a wad of cash that could buy groceries for a month, and Michael wasn't known for turning down good money. The ride was a suffocating silence, broken only by the drumming rain on the roof. The air grew thick and heavy, like someone had spilled blood in the backseat. As they neared Elmwood, the buildings looked like crooked teeth against the dark sky. Reaching the rusty gates, the woman pointed to a crumbling tomb, its words barely readable. "Here," she croaked, her voice a shaky whisper. Fear pricked at Michael's skin. "I can't wait outside," she rasped, her whole body trembling. Stupidly, Michael felt a flicker of sympathy. He watched her disappear into the darkness of the tomb, a knot of worry tightening in his gut. He could have driven away, but that nosy streak that got most cabbies in trouble wouldn't let him. Hesitantly, he approached the tomb. The hinges whined like ghosts as he pushed the heavy door open. Inside, darkness clung to the air, broken only by a sliver of moonlight filtering through a dusty window. The woman was gone. A sudden gust of wind, seemingly out of nowhere, blew out his lighter as he tried to light a cigarette. Panic choked him as he fumbled in the darkness. Then, a faint, ghostly glow flickered from a corner. Curiosity, a curse for any taxi driver, pulled him forward. He stumbled towards the light, his heart hammering a frantic rhythm. There, on a raised platform, stood the woman. But she wasn't human anymore. Her body had transformed into a skeleton, its eyes burning with an unholy light. A horrifying grin stretched across her skull, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "Welcome," her voice echoed, devoid of life, "to your final ride." Michael screamed, a raw sound lost in the tomb's heavy silence. But it was too late. The skeletal figures carved into the walls came alive, their bony fingers reaching for him. The next morning, Michael's cab was found abandoned outside Elmwood Cemetery. The only sign of the driver was a single, withered rose on the backseat, its petals stained an unsettling black. Another soul claimed by the secrets that hid in the shadows of the city. The city buzzed with its usual late-night energy, honking horns and sirens creating a familiar melody. But for Nadia, a cab driver with eyes as sharp as diamonds, tonight felt different. The radio, her usual companion, was eerily silent. A figure emerged from the shadows, a young woman with worry etched on her face. The address sent chills down Nadia's spine. Blackwood Hotel, a fancy place once, now a creepy reminder of the past, rumored to be haunted. Nadia wasn't scared easily, having grown up in the city's rough parts. But something about the woman's haunted eyes and the quiet coming from the dark hotel windows made her want to say no. However, the woman clung to a faded photo, a happy family smiling back. Nadia saw the hope in their eyes and couldn't turn him away. The ride was spooky quiet. The air felt stale and cold. As they neared the hotel, the streetlights flickered and died, leaving them in darkness. At the broken entrance, the woman pointed to a shadowy arch leading further in. "There," she rasped, her voice barely a whisper. Nadia's stomach lurched. This wasn't what they agreed on. "I can't take you in there," Nadia said firmly, even though her hands were shaking. But before she could refuse again, the woman vanished like smoke. In her place, a tarnished silver locket lay abandoned on the seat. A sad, beautiful melody filled the air, a violin playing a lonely song. It seemed to come from the overgrown gardens behind the hotel. Curiosity, a natural trap for any good cab driver, battled with fear. Nadia, ever practical, grabbed a crowbar from under her seat, a souvenir from a rough night. Stepping into the gardens, Nadia was met with a nightmare scene. Twisted branches reached for the sky, and creepy trees formed scary shapes against the starless night. The sad song grew louder, pulling her deeper into the darkness. Suddenly, the woman appeared, but changed. Her nice dress was gone, replaced by ripped clothes. Her eyes glowed with an eerie light. In her hand, she held a violin with strings that shimmered strangely. "Welcome," she sang in a sad voice. "I've been waiting for you." Nadia held the crowbar tighter, scared but trying to sound brave. "Who are you?" she asked. The woman smiled sadly. "I am Amelia," she said, her voice echoing. "And these are the lost souls of Blackwood, stuck here forever." Nadia understood then. This wasn't just a haunted hotel. It was a sad place for forgotten people. Amelia's song was a plea for help. Just as Amelia raised her violin, moonlight glinted off the locket Nadia held. When she opened it, warmth and love filled the air from the faded photograph inside. Her family, proud of her. A new kind of bravery filled Nadia. She raised the crowbar, not to fight, but to make a sound. She hit it against a metal railing, creating a loud clang that echoed through the gardens. The sad song stopped, replaced by a single, clear note. Amelia flinched, a flicker of understanding in her eyes. Nadia continued, making a simple melody, a song of hope and remembering. As she played, a warm light came from the locket, filling the gardens. The scary figures started to shimmer, changing back into wisps of smoke. With each note, tears rolled down Amelia's cheek, tears of thanks. Finally, when the last bit of smoke faded, only Amelia remained, a faint smile on her lips. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice full of peace. Then, with a final flicker of light, she too vanished. Nadia collapsed on the overgrown grass, the crowbar clattering beside her. Dawn was approaching, painting the sky with streaks of orange and pink. Exhausted but strangely happy, Nadia knew she wouldn't forget this night. She had faced a horror in a different way, with a song. The next morning, Nadia returned to the Blackwood Hotel. The building still looked creepy, but a single ray of sunlight seemed to pierce through the gloom, illuminating a single window. Nadia smiled. Maybe, just maybe, Amelia was finally at peace.